Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Deal, where we discuss business, entrepreneurship, and commercial real estate. My name is Lacey Labs, and I'm here with my co-host, Laura Martin. In today's episode, we spoke with Austin Peachey of Peachey Forest Products, a wood pallet and logistics company. Austin began his company at the age of 16 and now has an entire team working with him. Peachey Forest Products provides pallet services and cardboard and other things to a number of large logistic companies across the Eastern Seaboard and the United States. Tune into this episode to hear more about Austin's experience as an entrepreneur, his thoughts on business and his future plans, as well as what he would do differently if he were to start another company today. All right, Austin Peachey, welcome to Beyond the Deal. Great to have you on.
I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
Glad to have you. Let's get started. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you kind of got started doing what you do, and tell us about what you do.
Sure. So my name is Austin Peachey. I'm Peachey Forest Products. We're a logistical supply company. So basically we do anything that has to do with moving a product for any distribution company. We have it covered. So we do new, used, custom pallets, cardboard recycling, packaging supplies, basically anything to move a product out. We got it covered.
Awesome. How did you get started? Like, what was your kind of on-ramp onto this?
Sure. So I had a little liquidation thing going in the beginning. That's where I started at. And my friend that owned the only liquidation company in the area, who I met through that, he had pallets and he'd get like maybe 100 a month, some here and there. And he had a guy that would pick them up. Well, the guy stopped picking them up. He's like, hey, find something to do with these. I'm like, okay. So I didn't know what to do with them. So I listed them on Craigslist, of all places. And this was when the market was hot. It was coming off like the pandemic highs. So there's a big need for pallets at the time. And I just started getting phone calls left and right. Hey, can I get these? Can I get these? And so I remember I picked those up from his place. I took them. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what an A was, a B was. I just took them and I was winging it. And I listed them on Craigslist. Some guy in, I'll never forget this. He was outside of Reading. It was like 2 hours. And I sold this guy 100 pallets for $6 a pallet. So I got $600 to go to Reading. Looking back, I should have never done it. But that was the first sale. And after that, I was like, man, I'm going to look for some more of these things. And then we went from there.
And you were in high school when you were doing this?
I just got my license.
Yeah. Like 16?
Yeah.
Wow. Did you have a truck that you could throw them all in?
I did. And then the guy that I got the pallets from, I redid his backyard at his rental place, and he gave me a snowmobile trailer. And I used that. The time I got the pallets from his place, I took that trailer, you put them on, and I took them on that.
That's crazy.
And that's where we started.
So how many loads did you get? 100 pallets in one load?
That trailer was way too small for it. Okay. We stacked them like 25 high. It was way overweight, super illegal.
Police didn't stop you going down the highway.
We got it done.
Wow.
Yeah.
So just word of mouth, a friend gave you the idea, and
that's where it started.
Took off.
Yeah, and then you just started going after more places.
So you started seeking out places to get pallets from.
Right, which it was very, like in the beginning, it was very difficult because at this time, everybody was looking for them. Nobody could get enough of them. Mm-hmm. So it's very hard to find the places willing to give them to you. But I found enough to get by through that time. And then when the market flipped, so we went from an all-time high to an all-time low. So we went from not being able to get pallets to nobody being able to sell pallets. Okay. And so that's where we really started doing better, is because all these big companies that had the market monopolized, that were getting everything, now they don't want them because they got so many of them. So we came in and we were one of the only companies buying at the time, and we gained more and more customers through that. So we really thrived in a time where everybody else was trying to get rid of them. And that's when things flipped for us.
So did you actually start an LLC or?
So when I started, it was just nothing. And then after about a year, my accountant was like, you should probably become incorporated.
So you were an accountant when you were in high school?
Yeah, because I didn't know what I was doing. So I'm not trying to have the IRS come after me. So
that's smart.
I got my accountant. He's like, yeah, you're doing some business now. You should probably be legit. So we became incorporated, and then that was like 2 years ago or so.
Okay, cool.
So you pick up pallets, and then do you repair them?
We mostly are just a brokerage company anymore.
Okay.
So we move about 140 truckloads a week.
140 tractor trailers.
Tractor trailer loads a week. Yeah, we get about 200 trailers in the Northeast dropped at customers all across.
Wow.
So we're basically just in the middle of most of it. Like we're the place with the connections, and people come to us. Like if you need this, you need that, we got it.
It's like a broker. And how many pallets can you
Exactly.
fit in a tractor
So
trailer?
you can get, typically we load 616 in a tractor trailer. It comes out to 22 stacks at 28.
Wow.
22 high of 28 stacks. But some places don't load that many. Sometimes you'll get 520, sometimes you get less. But for the most part, you're sitting around there.
So you've just learned on the go, just met people and
Met the right people at the right time.
they helped educate you, and wow.
Yeah, a lot. I acted like I knew what I was talking about.
That's okay.
But,
Yeah.
you know,
Wow.
you figure it out.
140 tractor trailers a week. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you have to own tractor trailers?
So I have a couple, but we mostly just use freight brokers. It's difficult for us because we sell in all states across the U.S. We're heavy in the Northeast, but we've sold loads in every state but Hawaii. So it's difficult to handle your own logistics on that side of things. When you're, moving, there's so many variables all across the country. So we've gotten really good relationships with some of the bigger freight companies that take care of us in that sense.
Wow. Do you have like the cabs for 18-wheelers?
We do. I have a couple.
Or you hire people that...
We mostly just use like JB Hunt or Western Express, and they'll do power only.
They'll come pick up your...
They'll pick up our trailer. They'll take it to the customer. We'll do a swap.
And then they'll bring it
whatever the
back?
situation. Yep. We'll bring it back. Whatever the situation may be.
That's
It's always
amazing.
different. But yeah.
He figured that out is very impressive.
Yeah. So we've gotten some good relationships with them, and it's helped out a lot.
We met because you had called about a property, and I thought you were calling about a different property because I saw what the name of the company was. You wanted office space, but I was thinking more like warehouse space. So,
yeah.
And both properties had the same street name. So you were talking one, I was talking the other. So
Yeah, I remember.
it was a little crazy.
Yeah.
So that was my error for assuming. You should never assume. So
Yeah, I do remember that.
yeah.
And I was confused.
I
We were both
probably
confused.
made you confused.
Yeah.
So do you guys use a warehouse? Do you have?
We do some of our own stuff. It's hard. So we're in a difficult situation where we have some contracts that we need to take all the supply from.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're unable to move it directly to customers or other suppliers, we have to take it in. We try to stay away from that for the most part, but some scenarios it has to be done. So we only do about 15 truckloads a week of our own supply, and the rest is all direct and brokered. But we do a little bit.
Okay.
Wow.
So most of your clients have like a weekly need that you're just meeting.
Yeah, for sure. Typically, like we sell a lot to other suppliers because we're getting the majority of, we have an Amazon contract in the Northeast. So we're getting a lot of supply that they need that they can't get themselves. So they'll come to us.
Yeah.
So we have kind of like a guaranteed outlet for some of that to an extent.
Yeah.
But then we also have our own customers we're sending direct to in different scenarios.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
That's awesome.
It's crazy. I was talking to someone I know has a roofing business in Dillsburg, and he had said he knew your dad and that your dad had done some work at his house.
Yeah.
And he said your dad said like this was all you. You were very entrepreneurial and you've figured it out.
We jumped into it.
It's
Stepped out on a limb a little bit.
impressive.
We figured it out.
Yeah, because you graduated high school last year.
Last year, yeah.
Last year.
It's unbelievable to me. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's I don't like, it doesn't really register sometimes. Just kind of go, not really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But then everybody says stuff and I'm like, oh, I guess it isn't.
You haven't really
normal.
thought that through.
Yeah.
So you do more than pallets.
We do more than pallets. Yeah. Actually, majority of our business is in cardboard recycling. So all cardboard in the U.S. goes back overseas, because all the cardboard from overseas comes over here. If you think about it, all our product comes from China, from any companies over there. Well, they send all their cardboard over here, and they need it back there. So when we got in with Amazon, when you do the pallet contract, you have to do the cardboard as well.
Okay.
So when we got in there, we started pulling the cardboard out, and I started selling to the local, recycling mills and stuff. And I was talking to the one lady, and she's like, yeah, we got to send them to a different port because this port's closed. Like, you send them to a port? She's like, yeah, everything gets shipped overseas. So then we started looking into it, and it turns out pretty much all cardboard in the US, International Paper, Rock, they all have plants overseas that they send it to, and it makes its way back to China to be reprocessed into boxes. So now our new thing is kind of, we'll get the loads in, we'll put them on intermodals, which is what they put on ships, and then we'll send them overseas because the freight going overseas is only like $700 for a tractor trailer load because nobody's sending anything back. Everybody's sending everything over. And if they got nothing to go back.
So the bridge collapse that affected the Port of Baltimore, is that affecting you at all?
It did, because a lot of our sites are in Baltimore and north of Baltimore. So for the most part, that was our main port for exporting goods. So now we have to ship product to further ports for them to ship it out. So it's been a pain. It's been a real difficult thing to navigate.
So is there like a software package that you were able to purchase that keeps this all straight for you? Or is this just something you're gifted with? Because it sounds like a lot of
I try to remember most of it. I try to be as organized as I can, but I miss a lot of stuff. So for the most part, we've become pretty automated as far as like we're on a regimen, right? Like I know how many loads a week this site usually gets, how many that site gets, where these loads need to go, where those ones need to go. So there's no, surprisingly, and this might be a good idea, there's no software out there for pallet companies to really manage their supply, which we've looked into developing, but that's a whole different thing.
Sure.
But it is like my head, it's all over the place all the time because you're always forgetting something.
Yeah.
But we try to keep it as
well,
straight
it sounds
as
like you're trying to meet needs too, so you're willing to try to figure it out.
Yeah.
So with the cardboard, can that get wet?
Well, I mean, to an extent, it can get damp. If you leave it out in the weather for a while, then it kind of, cardboard over time disintegrates, essentially. So you got to try to keep it in the trailers, try to keep it dry. Now, on the other hand, you get paid by the ton. So if it is wet, then you retain a higher price per ton. So some people do try to do that. Like I've seen places when they chip it up, they'll bale it and they'll actually water it down.
Oh my gosh.
To dampen it. You might get another ton or two on the truck.
Yeah.
But no, it should stay dry for it to be.
So are you actually going around picking up like the pallets and the cardboard?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
But I mean, in your company, you'll drive.
Yeah, we do. So a lot of our local places we cover ourselves just to save on freight and headaches with the freight companies because they are all terrible.
This whole business sounds like a headache.
It is a headache. It's probably, I don't know why I picked it. It's probably one of the worst things you could pick.
Well, it sounds like it's working out okay for you.
Yeah. It's a nightmare, but it's all right.
It's a good nightmare.
It's a decent nightmare.
Yeah. Now, how many people do you have employed?
So we're mostly like a sales force for the pallet industry because we're just a brokerage company. So I kind of structured it in a different way than most places do. Most places will get commission-based salespeople. They'll do a salary. And then once you reach that salary and commission, then you're getting commission over that salary. I did it a little different. So we have some people that do that. But then on the other hand, we have a lot of people that are just strictly commission-based. So they'll have other jobs. They'll call in their free time. We have a software that can get any information at any company in the US. So you can get any contact you need, call them up. So we have like close to 20 people doing that.
Wow. Like almost like a cold calling.
Exactly. Yeah. Just like a lead, just leads coming in left and right. And then they'll handle that. If you get the customer, then you handle that customer. Okay. So if you get it, then you retain that account and you got to keep up with it. And then once they want an order in, you submit the order to our orders department. They handle that, get it covered. So it's basically just like a big sales funnel. Yeah. Just stuff coming in.
So it's similar to our industry, the standpoint of, cold calling is how you get a lot of business. Right. In the commercial real estate world.
Yeah.
So people are receptive to when you guys call?
So In the beginning, we didn't have the right outlets. You'd just be calling up the main person at the warehouse, and they have no power over
like
anything.
hanging up on you.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I'll tell Jimmy. Jimmy's never going to call you back, right? So we got this software. The guy that owns Zoom actually started it. It scrapes information from Zoom and emails from Gmail as well, the email signatures. So basically, we can go into the software and we get any contact to any company, their mobile number, their email. So you can call up the people you need. Like we usually go after purchasing managers or someone in a buying position.
Yeah.
And you can call them up. You can be like, hey, give them your pitch, tell them what you got. All these places, they don't care about relationships. They're all strictly price.
Okay.
If you're cheaper, they'll go with you.
Okay.
So if you come in with the philosophy, hey, we're going to save you money and we're going to save you a lot of it, they're going to typically entertain. They're going to entertain your idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a minute.
For the most part. Yeah. Some people, you get that instant hang up, but
yeah. Well, they say in our world, you could take 8 times of calling someone to get them to talk to you.
Oh, definitely.
Be open to talk to you.
And that's the problem with emailing is emailing's so easy. And we have a thing that just scrapes the emails. You can send mass emails. But the thing is, nobody has to click on that. Nobody has to look at it. Nobody has to reply. If you call them, then you're on the line. You at least have a shot with them, right? And I think that's, a lot of people are scared to call though. That's the issue.
Yes.
And that's why the people that are good at calling do so well.
Yep.
In any sales, it doesn't matter what it is, because nobody's
rejection
picking up
personally.
Yeah.
I always tell everybody, go for the no. Like make them tell you no.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like a Grant Cardone philosophy. No is yes.
That's right. That's right.
No is yes.
So your education, like how I just think of this because from starting a commercial real estate company, like there's a lot I didn't know. And I just started it. I didn't go work for somebody else. I probably should have in hindsight. But,
yeah.
Who's like helping you, guide you? Like, I feel like if I had gone to work for another company, I would have been a lot further ahead, a lot faster.
Right.
Like my learning curve was steep.
I feel the same way. I think like the first 2 years were probably thrown out, pretty much just trying to figure stuff out. But then the good thing is like if I were to go to worked for someone else, the problem is when you leave, for one, you're probably gonna have a non-compete on those customers. You can't talk to them, you can't contact them, nothing. So essentially you're starting from scratch again, but there's so many terms in the industry that I didn't understand for the first year or two, because just like real estate, right? Like in pallets, you got all kinds of different terms and all kinds of different species of lumber, different sized nails. You got different size notches in the stringers. You got different size boards, and then there's obviously like the slang. So you got different terms. If this pallet guy tells you some kind of pallet slang and you don't understand it, you're not going to look too good, right? So that's definitely a big learning curve in it. And I think that's why it's so hard for people to really understand it when you get into it. But once you learn that, then you're pretty much good.
Golden.
You're golden. Yeah.
It's so interesting.
So do you have any mentors or people who've been your go-to people?
I have a lot of people that I hang around that have definitely helped.
You trust.
Yeah. Like I never really, like even growing, like before this, I never really hung around people the same age or like my friends. Like we'll go do stuff, but the people that I'm around every day are people that are typically like they're doing it, and I met some good people in the pallet industry that are like doing it, big time. And that's pretty much all you need. Because once you get the connections in this, that's it. You're good.
My experience in life is most people want to help others if they can. People want to pay it forward. And you have advisors, right? Which is, again, impressive.
Right. Yeah. So, it's definitely helped meeting the right people at the right time in the industry, because that's essentially all it is. It's really the same with anything. If you know the right people, then you're pretty much set. Yeah.
So do you see this industry continuing on, like the need? You just, how some things like change with the economy or.
So it'll definitely stay. Just strictly off the fact that pretty much anything that's shipped is shipped on a pallet. Okay. Is shipped, you need Gaylord boxes, which we do as well. I don't see that need going away anytime soon. I'm sure, things evolve. I'm sure at some time it will change, but as long as freight is around, this industry will be around as well. So for the next foreseeable future, I think it's going to stay. I think it's going to grow. It's continue to grow. But on the same note, it's also an industry that's been taken over by a couple monopolies because they're not in the game for the same reasons we are, right? So you got the biggest companies are backed by Wall Street, and they're not in pallets to make money on pallets. They're in it to get market analytics. Because when you sell to all the biggest corporations in every industry, you basically get insider information on where the market's going.
Right.
Because if you compare your buying from last quarter to this quarter, and if they're down 17%, then you watch earnings come out, that company's going to be down 17%. So the Wall Street funds are funding these pallet companies to get analytics on the markets of the bigger corporations, and they can predict the markets.
Do you move other things besides pallets and cardboard?
So for the most, we do a lot of packaging. We'll do boxes, strapping, tape, things of that nature. And then we also got into like drums, like 55-gallon drums, and then bigger totes. Like a lot of beverage companies use totes. Those are pretty good. They're pretty profitable in some situations. But
what's a tote?
So a tote is like, if you've ever seen the big clear, like sometimes they'll have the metal cages around them, and it's basically got like a nozzle at the bottom.
Okay.
So essentially it's mostly to move liquids.
Okay.
So like a lot of the beverage and food distributors buy totes, but there's a very fine line because it's got to be certified. Like if it's used, you got to go through all the certifications of cleaning them and all this stuff to make it food grade. But they're very good if you can get your hands on some of them.
And they're mounted on pallets?
They can be. They make them the same size as pallets to be able to put them on. Some totes actually have pockets for the forks, so you don't even need a pallet. But not many people do it. It's kind of like just a lost industry.
So you're open to finding things where there's a need.
Anything.
So do you have your CDL?
I don't. No.
You've never needed that.
I've moved trailers around the shop, but I've never
I'm not
legally taken one on the road.
What about do you have forklifts?
We got a lot. Yeah, we got machines. I don't like forklifts necessarily just because they suck. But
so like a pallet jack or something.
Yeah, we have pallet jacks. Yeah. We have forklifts. We have articulating machines that make it a little easier.
What's that?
So like basically an articulating machine turns in the back. So the front stationary turns in the back, but it's a lot easier to maneuver, and they'll have extending booms so you can push the loads in from the ground.
Okay.
So we've found those to work a lot better than forklifts. Forklifts are very jerky. Like if you hit a bump, you're shaking all around. Yeah. It messes the stacks of pallets up.
Right.
If you have wheels that have air in them, then you're a little more steady. It doesn't, and your freshly beautiful stacked pallets aren't getting all messed up, and you're getting irritated.
That's important.
It's important.
So have you read any amazing business books? Like,
not really.
So it's mostly people you know and reading
people
things
I know,
and following trends, and
for the most part, watching people that know what they're doing, and trying to learn from that.
That's amazing.
I never really got into the reading.
It's okay. I mean, I've just just interesting to me how you have figured this all out.
Yeah, just jump. Most of it, I don't know I didn't know what I was doing. Just did it. Just jump into it.
Seems like it's worked most overall.
For the most part, there's situations, but you get out of them.
That's amazing. Well, it's good because you can adjust easily and frequently by not having a lot of overhead and.
Yeah, we've changed a lot over the past year and a half as the market's changed. And I feel like that's one thing a lot of the old school guys in the industry, which is most of the industry, have struggled at, is they're so set in their ways. And the market's changing, and it's changed a lot, and it's changed very quickly. And the one thing I saw when I got into the pallet industry is most of these pallet companies, they don't even have a website. They don't have anything. They don't even have their own emails, right? It's like at Yahoo. Yeah. It's like, these are the companies getting 10, 20, $30 million deals with big corporations, and this guy doesn't even have his own domain. Yeah. So I saw that as an opportunity too, to kind of like hit it from a marketing standpoint. Most of these guys have no marketing. They have no website. They have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you have just a little bit, you're ahead of the game in that sense. And they're just they've had these customers for 20, 30 years. So they're just running off of that.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many new pallet companies out there really hitting the marketing hard. Actually, there might be a few in the country that are really hitting hard on marketing, and the ones that have really excelled, while the other guys have just stayed in the same spot.
Do you have to travel much for your work?
Unfortunately, I've been traveling more.
For meetings out of town?
Yeah, like when we acquire new sites, sometimes you have to do site visits. You got to go there, meet with the people, which I don't love, but it's part of it.
Yeah.
So the past, like this year especially, it's been like every week I've had to go somewhere at least a few hours away, which I don't love, but it's part of it.
And if it's for making a sale and growing your business.
Yeah, definitely. It's worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been doing more and more of it, which we'll try to step away from.
So do you have a financial advisor? Like, you saving a lot of money?
I don't have a financial advisor.
They're going to all be calling you now.
All the people I know, I won't talk to them.
Yeah. Save is what I always tell my kids.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I've known a few financial advisors, like people I know's dads growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I've seen how they are. And it's like, I'll say this in a way to not offend any financial advisors, but sometimes you don't want to take advice from the people that don't have the same things going on, right? Like, this guy's going to tell you what to do with your money when truthfully in the background, he doesn't know what he's doing with his,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So
but you're saving and investing.
Yeah. We're, everything, we put a lot back into the company.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where things have gone, and building it up for ideally a potential sale is kind of what the idea is. So that's kind of been like the last couple of years, is just trying to build it up as big as possible to draw attention to, either a Wall Street fund or one of the bigger pallet companies.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever think of like what, not that you have to share it, but like what's next? Like if that did happen?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely become more realistic. Like this year, I've been like, this might, happen sooner than later. I don't know exactly what route I want to go, but I definitely like real estate. That's definitely the next, that's probably where the money will go. Just make sure we're good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll probably go do something else. I don't want to do nothing.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
So when you were in school, I mean, did you know what you wanted to do, or you just kind of fell into this?
So it's funny. The first time we went to Florida when I was probably, I don't know, maybe 11 or 12. And we're from here. I grew up here. And we went there and we took this boat ride on the bay. And there was all these mansions. I'd never seen something like that before. Lamborghinis, Ferraris racing around everywhere. It's like, man, people live like this. And so from that time on, I'm like, I'm going to own something. I just don't know what. Because that's when things really clicked. I was like, man, I got to figure out how to be like these people,
mm-hmm.
And
you were young.
Yeah. And so then it was in my head that like, I got to get to that. And so I knew it'd be by owning something. I just didn't know quite what. I thought it would be real estate.
Yeah. But
I guess that's maybe the next chapter.
We'll have to stay in touch.
We will.
Are you a big goal person?
Goal.
Like
goal.
setting goals?
Yeah, like probably too ambitious of goals, but at the same time, it's like a lot of them have come to fruition so far. I think it's important to like kind of vision
mm-hmm.
and, envision where things are going to go, because otherwise you're just kind of walking blindly and just
mm-hmm.
going. So I wouldn't say goals, but like, I want to do this. I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go after and try to do it.
Amazing. I think I could talk to you all day.
So Austin, you've done this at a really young age. It's been 4 years, maybe? Something like that?
You can't even drink yet.
No. No.
What advice would you give to somebody else who's like, I want to own a business. I want to start a business. What have you learned? Like what kind of stuff would you say?
I think the biggest thing is people talk about it, but they don't do it. A lot of people are so stuck in their thoughts, but they won't actually like just go after it. And I think the biggest thing is just don't be afraid to do it. Like I have a couple friends that they want to do this, they want to do that, but they're like, but what if it doesn't work out? It's like, well, that's always in the question. It doesn't matter what you are, who you are. Elon Musk probably says every day, what if Tesla doesn't work out? Right? I feel like that's a thought for everybody, but you just got to jump in and you got to not think about it. Right? Like if this doesn't work, you might be like, if this doesn't work out, what am I going to do? Right? Well, you just go do it again. You can always, and once you do it once, you can always do it again. That's one thing I always say to some of my friends that are like, I want to do something. I'm like, well, if you make it once and you screw it up, you can do it again. Yeah. Because you know the formula. Yeah. So just do it.
I like that.
Just do
That's great advice.
Go after it.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, we're actually like at our minute marks. So I'd like to ask you our last question.
Sure.
Can you believe it? We're here.
We're here already.
So we ask this question to every guest.
All right.
The exact same one. And you're not very far in your career, but if you could go back and start your career over again, but keep all the knowledge that you have, what would you do differently? So going back, I would definitely probably take it a little slower, like not jump into things so quickly. I definitely jumped into things I shouldn't have, which we figured out, but it's caused a lot of headache and a lot of issues that have run along. I'd say just make the right moves at the right time and be a little more patient, because sometimes things when you jump into them or you force them, I should say, it's better if you wait and let that opportunity come along rather than jumping in and searching for it. Because like now that I'm not always looking so hard for the next thing, they just start coming to you and things just start falling in line. And it's a lot smoother and a lot less stressful when things start coming to you instead of searching for them. So I'd say take things slower and like let them come to you, not try to force it so hard. And I think it'll work out well. I think you're wise for your age. I appreciate it. Incredibly. I mean, I know I've probably said this to you, but I just think you're one of the most impressive young people I've ever met. I appreciate it. I mean, you're just turned 19. It's unbelievable. I think you're like wise beyond your years. I appreciate that. And I can't wait to see what you end up doing because I think your future is very bright. We'll keep going after it. Yeah. That's all I know. Yeah. It's great. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being on. Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Thank you. Absolutely. We will keep connecting and hopefully we'll get some real estate deals done soon. Exactly. Right? Exactly. There we go. Just next episode. One thing leads to the next. I'm going to stay in touch. I'll be calling you. You call me. You call me. Now we're going to have Austin on as a client. Hey, Austin, tell us about all your real estate investments. Right. That's the plan. That's the plan. But just like that, one thing leads to the next. Yeah. We're excited to see you grow and what's next. If you ever need any advice, you can always come upstairs and ask us. Yeah, come right up the hall. I'll come knocking. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. That's funny. But yeah, it's good. That was Austin Peachey sharing his insights on entrepreneurship and logistics. For more information on Austin, his company, Peachey Forest Products, or to learn more about SVN Latus, click the links in the show notes. Thanks for listening to Beyond the Deal.